Hello, everyone. Mary Esther Gilbert here, nutritional physiologist, holistic nutritional healing consultant, botanical medicines researcher and writer, and I can also juggle. But anyhow, those of you who haven't been here before, welcome, welcome, and thank you for those who are returning here. Now today, or tonight, I should say, I am going to kind of set the record straight a little bit about the differences between anabolic steroids that are used in sports versus plant sterols that the body uses and are abundant in many different types of plants that we eat, all the plant kingdom. Those variety of plant sterols have been shown by the scientific research studies to be so beneficial and necessary for our health, particularly as precursors for the creation or generation of about 10,000 hormones that the body makes on a daily basis. So hormones are the regulating proteins in the body that help start and stop different all the different biochemical processes that go on within our trillions of cells that keep us alive and thriving and keep us in balance. So tonight I'd like to kind of read a little bit about here and there. You know, I picked out a few research studies, peer-reviewed studies, as always. You can't really go on one particular study, as you probably know by now, if you've been on my channel or if you've learned this on your own, that one particular study will not provide the complete knowledge database that one needs to understand how the body works, and especially their own nutritional physiology. All right, so yeah, there's a huge difference between how the body uses plant sterol compounds, they're not really steroids, versus the synthetic steroids that are laboratory created and affect the body's hormonal system completely differently. So one is a drug and the others are natural plant compounds that occur in nature and have been there forever. People have been eating a huge variety of fresh fruits, berries, and vegetables and root vegetables, whole grains, that kind of thing. Plant sterols are present whenever you have just a healing plant that helps cleanse and detoxify and play a role in the immune system and to play a role in the energy production process within every cell. Every cell needs energy to function and to help the body replicate or detect, what belongs there and what shouldn't belong there, and help the DNA to maintain itself to make sure it doesn't get damaged, because as you know by now, once the DNA gets damaged, then those cells start replicating, and that's the basis for the disease process or something that malfunctions in the body on a temporary basis. Our immune systems are, if you're well nourished and you're eating a huge variety of foods, including 50 to 75% raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, 100% whole grains, all the whole foods in the plant kingdom, in addition to, of course, the full normal, or I should say optimally animal-derived proteins that contain all 9 essential amino acids. And those are the basic building blocks that our bodies use to build new tissues and cells and new immune system, cell turnover rate, that all that process requires many thousands and thousands of proteins that we derive from the animal kingdom. So yeah, when you have a full array of nutrients from both plant and animal origin foods, then you're going to be healthier and stronger. Your immune system is going to be stronger. Your hormones are going to be balanced. By balanced, I mean your body's producing the right ratios and proportions of the different hormones according to your gender, according to your age, according to how much you work out, how much you exercise, how much sunlight you're getting, and that kind of thing. Okay, so it all comes together. And those of you who have been to my website, you know that I've been producing books on the subject of total health, holistic health, for many years now. And when I had my practice, my clients were very successful in reversing any health conditions they came to me with based on the peer-reviewed studies and based on empirical evidence of, indigenous people who have their own medical systems from the plant kingdom and just over thousands of years. Some of them have pulled everything together and documented very carefully the causes and effects of health conditions, associating those conditions getting well with the plant kingdom. So plant sterols are not something you should be afraid of. Our bodies need them. They should be considered essential nutrients like vitamins and minerals. But yeah, let's go into that a little bit. I'll try not to, make it too drawn out, because something like this is going to be a little bit complicated, and it'll take me a little bit to pick and discern, what information to pick out for the lay public. And if you already have a biology degree or PhD in at one of the biological sciences, then just bear with me, and maybe it'll be a good review for you. I learn something new every time I dive into the scientific literature and look at the peer-reviewed studies to see how nutrients work in the body. So I hope you'll find this interesting as well. I'm going to share my screen. That's just my background photos slideshow that I go on my computer. People always say, where do I get those photos? I just collect them. I see them somewhere and I save them to my computer and I put them up as backgrounds. This happens to be something similar to one of my books, one of the pictures on the covers of one of my books. I'll go over that information later if you'd like. Well, I will share that with you. But for now, let me share my screen. And I'm going to show you. Looks like I already am screen sharing. Okay, pardon me, I already did that. Yes, I'm all right. I'm okay. It's been a long day. All right, so the first thing I want to cover are the anabolic steroids. When I was a bodybuilder back in the 80s and 90s, and now I still lift weights because it helps maintain bone structure, muscle tone and physical strength and strength endurance. And, I combine that with my holistic exercise program, which is flexibility, weight training, and also, aerobic fat burning workouts. So that entails different things like running, walking fast, going to the gym and getting on the aerobic fat burning equipment, like the bicycle and the elliptical machine and the treadmill. So, I like to stimulate the hormone that's the master hormone known as growth hormone. So when your body's still producing growth hormone, even as you age, me being 69 years old, I have been athletic since 1974. And so I've always been able to avoid arthritis and degenerative joint and connective tissue issues, always maintain muscle mass and strength endurance. When you do all of the above, which I teach in my books and in courses that I've taught and in the the videos that I produce, then someone will be able to alleviate a lot of inflammatory issues and start building a more youthful body, because the growth hormone is called the youth hormone. So everyone wants to do that. And when people use anabolic steroids in sports, they want to build more muscle mass and strength endurance. At least they think that's what they're going to have, in the long term. But there are some severe health issues that crop up when people take the anabolic steroids in sports. Bodybuilders are known to take anabolic steroids, but it's illegal. They're not allowed to compete if, or any sport where anabolic steroids are detected in the bloodstream. And apparently, from what I understand, it takes a couple of weeks or so, maybe even as long as a month, for the body to get rid of those synthetic steroids, because they affect the cell receptor sites within the DNA, and they do different things to the muscle cells than plant sterols do. Plant sterols are completely utilized by the body with no side effects for producing the 10,000 hormones the body needs, for aiding, the immune system. They help with heart, to maintain a healthy heart. So I'll go through all of that and I'll show you exactly the differences, and you'll be amazed. So, I recently got a question. I get health questions all the time, and I do my best to answer everyone's questions. And sometimes I feel compelled to produce a video to answer the question more thoroughly and in more detail. All right, so yeah, this is from Iowa State University, and it's called Detection Methods of Androgenic Anabolic Steroids in Sports. And in so doing, their detection methods, then they describe what the anabolic steroids do in the body. All right, so I will be posting these links in the bottom, the description underneath this video once I upload it to my YouTube channel. So by the time you watch this, then I will have already posted the links down below. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and read a little bit. This PhD candidate will probably explain it much more precisely than I can in trying to summarize this for you. So it's just an abstract. You know, if you ever want to look at some scientific paper, scientific research paper, or someone's dissertation like this one, then the abstract is a good summary to do that. And also the introduction, you know, it'll give the reader a good idea of the information that's contained in here. So it says the use of androgenic anabolic steroids in sports has grown in popularity, and new methods to evade detection have become equally as popular. Athletes are discovering new ways to compete while using these substances. However, agencies like the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, are taking a stance on drug testing for competitions. The components of substances used, detection windows, methods of administration, and current procedures all contribute to detection of these drugs. Understanding these methods aids in the development of new testing and guidance to be implemented to help eliminate steroids in sports. The comparisons of these variables can help researchers to understand the limitations of current testing procedures while also developing new strategies to help eliminate and detect prohibited steroid usage. Now, no one is going to be eliminated from any competition from taking in an abundance of foods in the plant kingdom that have many plant sterols. The body does not use them in the same way at all, which you will find out soon. All right, so yeah, I mean, steroids have been used since the 1940s, you know, and people used to compete in the bodybuilding world with the anabolic steroids, and then end up having a lot of the side effect health issues, severe side effect health issues on it. So they were banned, you know. So yeah, let's get down here. I'll show you a little bit about what this is about here. Let me enlarge that for us just a little bit. So these are the different sports that these synthetic anabolic steroids are used or have been used. You know, I really don't know, haven't been in the bodybuilding world for many decades, so I don't know if anybody's taking these or how any technology has been perfected so that they cannot be detected in the body. I don't know. That seems to indicate that, you know, at the introduction of this article. So they, you know, they've been used according to, like, see this pie, it just shows all the different percentages that these different sports utilize them. They've been very abundant in the bodybuilding world for many decades, as you might know, and I know for sure. Athletes generally, you know, cycling, so powerlifting, weightlifting, football, wrestling, rugby, and boxing, aquatics. So all these athletes, you know, have it in their minds that they're going to be stronger, faster, larger muscles, therefore more power, you know, that kind of thing. But they don't know, or they should know, that there are some severe side effects. All right, so let's get into that. All right, let's go. I'll read you this part here. Androgenic anabolic steroids are fat soluble and therefore membrane permeable, and due to these characteristics, they can directly influence the target cells. So, you know, we're going to get into the target cells here. The steroids will penetrate the target cell membrane and then bind to the androgen receptors that are located in the cytoplasm, and once bound can alter gene expression or alter processes that send signals throughout the cell. Okay, so let's go down to the figure here. So they take these anabolic steroids, it enters the bloodstream, and between the bloodstream, the blood vessel here, this happens to be the smallest, you know, blood vessel in the body, the capillaries. And so they go through, and they're lipid soluble, so they can enter the extracellular fluid. In other words, the fluids that are between our trillions of cells. So we've got extracellular and intracellular fluids. All right, so this happens to be detected by the cell membrane site. So they enter the cell, they go straight to the DNA, and they make changes at the DNA level. They activate proteins, that grow muscles, you know? So let's see, lipid-soluble hormone diffuses through the cell membrane. Number two, hormone binds with receptor in cytoplasm, which is the, the outside of the nucleus where the DNA resides, right here inside the cell, forming a receptor hormone complex. Receptor hormone complex enters the nucleus and triggers gene transcription, changes the DNA. Transcribed mRNA is translated into proteins that alter cell activity. Okay, so they're forcing the growth of muscle in this manner. And because it's fat soluble, then it enters the cell, quite easily. All right, so then they go into the drug testing methods, but I wanted to show you this horrifying, side effect of the synthetic anabolic steroids. So they cause hypokalemia, gynecomastia, prostate carcinoma, cardiovascular problems, decreased good cholesterol, hyperlipidemia. In other words, they cause more fats to circulate in the bloodstream, testicular atrophy, polycythemia, myalgia, nasal excoriation, acne, okay, and gingivitis. Who would have thought that taking anabolic steroids would give you the inflammation of the tissues around the teeth, the gums, mouth irritation, benign prostatic hypertrophy, skin blister, increased prostate-specific antigen. So it stimulates the immune system, all right, to try to eliminate these effects of, what they do to the body, the muscles, protein generating, hormone producing chemistry in the body. All right, so it's not a good thing, right? Who would know that it would cause all of these health issues? But ask anyone who's been on anabolic steroids for a while, and they'll tell you about their health issues. And then, of course, they go into the methods of detecting these kinds of things and the technicalities of, analyzing blood through the equipment, that kind of thing. But I just wanted to kind of introduce you to what happens in the body when you take the synthetic version, something that's almost recognizable by the body, therefore it enters the cell membrane and it has an affinity or instructions to enter the DNA and change how the body produces muscles and provide short-term advantages for athleticism. But then the body starts recognizing that it's not really of self. And so it starts implementing a lot of these hormonal, disruptions, and immune system detections fall into place, and they start breaking things down. It's just not a natural cascade of events that happens in the body. So, here's a diagram about how it affects hair. My goodness. So this diagram displays how drug usage can affect the hair strand. Drug enters the bloodstream, transfers to the hair follicle, becomes trapped in the hair strand. And this side shows a normal hair strand compared to the right side where regular drug usage has occurred. So heck, it even affects hair growth, my goodness. But then, of course, you've got muscles, sweat glands, the skin surface, sebaceous glands, the glands that produce oils, for the skin, the natural oils of the skin, blood vessels, and the skin surface. Then we've got the tiny capillaries that stem from the larger blood vessels elsewhere in the body. All right, drug ingested regularly. So if you've got an infusion of all these fat-soluble, synthetics coming in and really affecting and disrupting, all of these different glands and all of these different blood vessels and the muscles and that kind of thing. Okay, so hair testing provides benefits to other methods of drug testing. So yeah, that's how they can detect it. Hair testing, who would have thought, right? Let's see, I think they also All right, let's see here. Blood testing is a common occurrence. So, I mean, this is not normal. Okay. A lot of athletes, particularly bodybuilders in the bodybuilding world, have boasted, hey, I don't take anabolic steroids and I can still build muscle mass and still compete, be competitive, that kind of thing. So if you do it naturally and you stimulate the body into accepting the fact that it needs to respond to the stimuli of heavy weight training or any other athletic endeavor, then the body will respond. But people want instant gratification. And with instant gratification, when you're dealing with the human body, usually results in undesirable side effects. So it looks like they also talk about saliva. They test different kinds of saliva. I mean, they test saliva as another method of detecting these anabolic steroids. That's amazing. All right, and then they talk about the method of, evaluating whether someone's been taking the anabolic steroids or not. Yeah, so there's different ways, to detect it. Oh, they've got masking agents, so that's beyond the scope of this video. But yeah, I will post it here in case you know of anyone who has been trying the anabolic steroids, and just warn them of the health side effects. Sometimes bodybuilders have reported that they have kidney problems and oh, here it is right here. Okay, so they've gone into hypertension, liver cirrhosis, scarring of the liver, heart failure, kidney failure, lung disease, kidney disease. So retaining water and salt, that's the last thing bodybuilders want. They want to look cut and lean, but if it's going to make them, hold water between the cells, water should be going in and out of the cells and hydrating each one of our trillions of cells so they can do their work, so they can be more electrical and communicate with the nervous system. All right, so I think I will go ahead and switch over to the anabolic steroids. So yeah, I mean, people apparently use they use diuretics to counter, some of the side effects of anabolic steroids. It's crazy. This is crazy, and it's really sad because if someone's going to put something in their body, they need to be more informed. Don't you agree? I mean, it's just crazy. All right, so that's enough of that. Now, so they've got the question that I got was, so a friend of theirs wanted to know the difference between anabolic steroids or taking the plant sterols in a particular supplement they were asking about. Okay. So, I said, okay, I know that when a young person who is still growing and developing, a child or pre-adolescent or adolescent, if they're still growing and developing, exercise is very important for the development of their bones and their muscles, right? Their nervous system, their hormonal system, that kind of thing, and proper nourishment, full range nutrient, food intake regularly, regular sleep and hydration. That's important for everyone, but especially for younger children. So sometimes parents say, well, I heard phytosterols will help my child grow better, so I'm going to get them a supplement. All right. So let's show you one of these such supplements that's on the market. So if you were to just take an extract from plants and put them in a supplement, just the plant sterols, they're also called phytosterols, phyto meaning plant. So if you were to look at buying something, wanting to find out what to buy, not just for a child, but for, an adult, then, too much of a good thing can be a little bit disruptive in the body. So this particular supplement, I usually don't show the names of companies, but it's very typical of companies that are selling phytosterols only. As you can see in the supplement facts, they've got 1,000 milligrams of different plant sterols. Okay. And, they try no added sugar, soy, dairy, yeast, gluten, or other additives. Good for them. But if an adult wants to have an additional amount of phytosterols, then something like this will inundate the body's hormone producing capacity. So if there are many, many plant sterols in this abundant amount, then, if you're bodybuilding, then the body will probably put those to good use. Might be a little hard on the liver to process, but it's not going to do any damage at the DNA level. Phytosterols, our DNA recognizes as proteins that it can use to rebuild new cells. So it's not a total loss to, isolate something like plant sterols. However, a growing, developing child, it might be a bit much for their organ systems to handle. And even, maybe accelerate some of their growth and development. So in other words, for a girl, breast development, that kind of thing. So you want to be very careful. Nature is great, and it works best in synergy with other nutrients. That's why I always advocate whole food supplements, whole foods, staying away from isolated nutrients. People try to buy individual vitamins and individual minerals, and there are always going to be side effects because the body understands whole complex molecules, not isolated molecules. It's incomplete, and a lot of biological, biochemical processes can come to a grinding halt when people take partial nutrients. So it's best to eat, the full range of whole foods. And in my book, Nutritional Synergy, I have a 14 category food choice system that has outperformed any other diet out there or any other, food guidelines put out by companies or the government. When you break things down into 14 categories, then you're going to, if you choose from each category every single day, foods, and supplements, which is in that system as well, the right types of supplements, whole food supplements, organic supplements. So when you put that all together, then the body's going to be able to choose what it needs, exactly what it needs at the DNA level, and to improve how the DNA replicates the cells and directs all the bodily processes in the whole entire system, and every different system, nervous system, hormonal system, the urinary system, the skeletal and muscular systems, all those different major systems in the body require the right information from whole food complexes, and therefore whole food nutrients. Okay. So anyhow, I don't really recommend anything like this generally. Sometimes someone may have some kind of a disease process going on, and they might go to their doctors, and their doctors might prescribe the either anabolic steroids, or maybe if they're more holistic minded, they will look at something like the phytosterol complexes and concentrations on a temporary therapeutic basis. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not going to go around and recommend high doses of isolated nutrients. I have received clients who have gone through that kind of, I should say, medical advice. They come to me with all these side effects, all of these from, drugs and whatnot, but, and sometimes isolated nutrients like this. And so all I can do is teach them how to eat properly. I use my system. It's been tried and true for 45 years. And so once they start giving their bodies all the nutrients that the body needs in the right form, in the right molecular configurations, so that the body understands it, the DNA understands it, it reads it, and it knows what to do with it to correct any malfunction at the microcell level. So when you're highly nourished at the microcell level, the body will fix many things. And that's something that I've witnessed in my clientele over the years, and even afterwards. Once I retired my practice after 30 years, that was 13 years ago. And I didn't really retire, started writing books and teaching courses and that kind of thing, and being consultant to companies, that kind of thing. So yeah, so this is not something that I would recommend. So it's up to you and your medical doctor if you want to do something like this. But just know that even with, safe plant phytosterols in concentrations as high as this, there could be some unwanted side effects that you need to discuss with them. All right. Alrighty. So I just wanted to show you that. All right. So now I just did a simple search. Whenever you do a search on the internet and you want to know about something, always type in the phrase after your search phrase, always add scientific journal. That way you don't get a lot of unqualified advice that's all abundant on the internet, confusing, contradicting advice. I just produced a video on that, so it's the video that I produced right before this one, if you look at the dates. So if you want to take a look at that on how to determine, a credible information versus non-qualified advice, then that's the video to look at. But for now, I'm going to go over this particular scientific research study. So you can tell that it's a peer-reviewed study because they always do footnotes as they create the document. Then they will quote they will cite all the different studies that they analyzed, the panel of experts have analyzed in order to put together a peer-reviewed study. That's literally what it is. Experts, industry, experts and PhDs, panels of scholars, that kind of thing, will evaluate all the different scientific studies that have been done, and then pick the most credible and the ones that adhered to the scientific method, making sure they're eliminating a lot of other, just studies that are not considered proper scientific standards, that kind of thing. So as you can see, they have taken the most credible studies that they have seen. And so here's one group of scientists that did one study and that backs up what the statement is saying. I'm just going to point this out very quickly, just so you can see all of the different research studies that they picked to summarize. All right, so yeah, let's go back to this sterol regulation of metabolism, homeostasis, and development. So, all right, now let's see the difference between the synthetic anabolic steroids and the plant sterols that are in plants. So it says, sterol metabolites are critical signaling molecules that regulate metabolism, development, and homeostasis. So they help maintain a balance in the body so that the body doesn't respond by sending inflammatory proteins, overreacting, improving the immune system's detection ability to not send in too many inflammatory proteins if there's something wrong. Sometimes the immune system is, if you're not nourished well, the immune system's DNA, all those cells in their DNA are not able to detect whether they should send inflammatory proteins to help the healing process, or to, if they're not if they're not developing properly, then those immune cells will run rampant and continue to produce inflammatory proteins. So that's when if you're in an inflammatory state, your immune system's not working properly. It's just doesn't know when to stop sending in inflammation to any kind of damaged area. All right, so yeah, the sterol metabolites that are in plants will help to help stop the inflammatory process and improve the functioning of the immune cells. Okay, it helps with the signaling molecules, which tells you the electrical nervous system sometimes will misfire if nerve cells are damaged. So, all these signals that are going on at lightning speed every single moment of our lives, if you're not properly nourished, then that's going to be a problem as well. Your nerve cells can deteriorate and result in a lot of nerve degenerative conditions. But once the body is properly nourished, then you can prevent, almost everything of that nature. So anyhow, it says signaling molecules, so they regulate metabolism at the rate, that's the rate at which your cells will process information and to, help absorb nutrients after digestion. And so, how fast will your body utilize nutrients and use those nutrients for energy and provide energy to the cells when you're exercising or under stress or anything like that. So that's what the metabolic rate generally is. If you exercise, if you get sunshine, you're hydrated, you're properly nourished, then you will have a higher metabolic rate, which makes your body more efficient and generates hormones that create younger functioning cells. Development, for those who are still growing and developing, and like I said, reaching or maintaining a biochemical balance or equilibrium in the system. Oxysterols are just derivatives of cholesterol. Our bodies produce cholesterol at a high rate because cholesterol is what the cell structures are composed of. okay? As long as it remains, liquid in the system, it doesn't harden it and, create plaques, which aren't really, cholesterol really isn't the cause of hardened plaques, arteriosclerosis. It's the plasticized fried oils, heated oils. Those are the culprits that cause the hardened plaques in the arteries. There have been, examinations after a person has passed away and the body is examined. They find that the hardened arteries, those plaques that are in the arteries of a heart patient who has passed away, are from those kinds of fats. They're not from animal fats. They're not from, the cholesterol diet that has a little cholesterol in it. I mean, you can't avoid it if you're eating properly, which includes the muscle strengthening and the healthy blood forming animal derived kingdom that the body needs. I know a lot of people just hate that, and I don't like eating animals either, and I only eat animals that have been humanely handled, right? That they've led healthy lives and happy lives, and didn't know what hit them, when they had to be terminated for food. Unfortunately, through all the years of research, I have found that the body does need those amino acids that are present all in one place in animal-derived proteins. People who have come to me over the years with protein deficiency symptoms, they try to be vegetarians or even vegans. They're still missing a lot of the critical components of the animal-derived tissues that we eat, the steaks, the chickens, the turkey, that kind of thing, and eggs, that kind of thing. But anyhow, those contain cholesterol. It's a normal part of mammalian cells, including our own. And our bodies break down that cholesterol into oxysterols. So they pretty much do a lot of the same things, building cell structure and maintain the pliability and flexibility of our cells, including the blood cells. So if you're eating a lot of foods that are enzyme active from the plant kingdom, and you've got, raw nuts and seeds and whole grains that are enzyme active and they have not been cooked, they have not been processed, then those enzymes actually do help break down and maintain the integrity of the blood in the bloodstream. So there aren't any, particles that are going to be sticking to the inside of your blood cells, the blood vessels, and forming plaques. So, animal fats have been given a very wrong, bad rap over the years. So yeah, the margarine industry would have you believe that margarine is actually better because it doesn't have any cholesterol. Well, that's where a lot of American and other countries, health issues started when the margarine industry became more aggressive in their advertising. All right, so bile acids, and those are the acids that actually break down fat through the gallbladder. Okay, so our bodies produce steroids. Steroids are important for building new tissues and maintaining the strength and pliability of the cells, and including the muscle cells. They provide the body with the strength and endurance. A lot of cultures have taken plant sterol foods like maca root, ashwagandha. There's many other, plants that have been renowned through all these different cultures for building, robust, sexual appetites, shall I say, or just muscle strength endurance, and so athletes have been taking foods high in plant sterols in order for the body to make natural steroids. Those are different molecules than the synthetics. They don't go in and force, the changes in the DNA like the synthetics do. They help rebuild and maintain the integrity of the properly functioning cell of the DNA of the cells. So that's the difference. That is the fundamental difference, where the DNA recognizes as self, which is what the scientists refer to as a substance that the DNA is completely compatible with in maintaining its own integrity. And so, I mean, if the structure on the DNA, all of those proteins that reside on the ladder of the DNA, the rungs of they look like a ladder, in the gosh, I can't think right now because it's been a long day and I think I need to eat something. But anyway, the DNA structure and the genes that sit on the what looks like a rung of the ladder on the DNA. Excuse me. I'm laughing at myself. This is crazy. But I really wanted to get this video out before I retire for the night. So anyhow, yeah, it understands that information in order to maintain the proper sequencing of genes in the genetic code, which are the instructions for the entire body. Okay, that's what I wanted to get out. All right, so anyhow, this article will go through and it'll tell the reader exactly how these processes work. All right, and I'm just going to kind of skim through. I did read the article, but of course, you don't want to sit there and watch me read this entire thing. You can read it for yourselves. You can explore it further if you're interested. So, okay, let's just go over this as the introduction is always great for laypersons. Sterols are important for innumerable biological processes essential to reproduction and survival. The major source of sterols in mammals, cholesterol, is both synthesized de novo and acquired from the diet. De novo means within the body and from the diet. So, a little bit of butter, a little bit of meat drippings will go a long way toward many health benefits. So it plays a crucial role in modulating cell membrane dynamics. So everything that's happening at the cell membrane site, all of the detection sites that allow nutrients through to the inside of the inner universe of the cells where true health happens or the disease process happens, depending on how well nourished you are. In addition, cholesterol is metabolized in many physiologically important molecules, including the triumvirate of oxysterols, bile acids, and steroid hormones. Okay, so there are natural steroid hormones that our bodies produce naturally, and then there are those synthetics that cause all those side effects. It has become increasingly clear that sterols act in key signaling events to regulate both metabolic and developmental processes. Okay, so they help in the correct replication of our DNA in our cells that are constantly turning over. The body gets rid of the old spent up cells and produces new cells, but that DNA has to stay intact in order to produce cells that are like the mother cell that's getting older and just starting to break down. The immune system takes care of that, but then the new cells continue on. All right. Accordingly, the synthesis and metabolism of cholesterol is tightly regulated, reflecting the essential nature of these molecules. So our nervous system, our hormonal system, our immune systems go to work and communicate to make sure that this happens correctly. All right, so they're talking about the distinct structures and functions of all these natural, biochemical compounds that our bodies make, and they're talking about the the enzymes that are necessary for the body to produce in order to be catalysts of all these biochemical processes to stimulate, all of these processes that our bodies need to stay alive and well and thrive. So it goes on through there and it gets pretty, somewhat technical, talking about how information is transcribed, inside the DNA in the gene transcription processes. So then they list a few of the sterol sending nuclear hormone receptor sites, that kind of thing. So it gets complicated, but to me, it's fascinating. So they're talking about the derivative of cholesterol, oxysterol, how it activates, a receptor in the liver and controls cholesterol metabolism. So your body's always at work, trying to maintain the biochemical homeostasis, particularly how it handles fats and cholesterol at the cell level. All right, so then, we're talking about how the body uses or how the gallbladder can digest fats. Okay, so fats are digested through the gallbladder. So anyhow, it might be fun just to take a look at how this process actually works. We've got mechanisms that going back and forth inside and outside of the cell. Things are being broken down, and how cholesterol and fats are being utilized and uptaken into the cells for, all these different breaking them down into fatty acids and producing new new cells, in this case, gluconeogenesis. So fat metabolism, sugar metabolism are closely related. And of course, if you take in too much sugar, then you've got your pancreas producing the insulin to take that sugar out of the bloodstream. And if it has to convert it to body fat, then it will store it as body fat, either in the liver or underneath the skin or around the organs. So your body stores fat wherever it can, if just to make sure that there's not too much too much sugar in the bloodstream. All right, so that's just one out of a couple of articles that I wanted to show you. It's really fun to explore all these individual studies that have contributed to the base of human knowledge, that's considered high quality caliber studies. And it goes into how the body utilizes glucose, how the body breaks down carbohydrates into glucose, and how that enters the cells and helps with the energy production and all that kind of thing. So anabolic steroids do not do this. All of these wonderful biochemical processes happen from the ingestion of the plant kingdom. I think that's pretty much covers it for now. Yeah, and it just keeps talking about all those receptor sites at the cell membrane. All right, so, they even compare worms and flies and mammals. Of course, we're mammals, right? So, we have pretty much the same kind of DNA. Isn't that weird? We have very much in common with all living things, all living cells in this world. But, it just talks about how cholesterol is absorbed through the intestine. Once it gets past the gallbladder, enters the bloodstream, and the bile acids that are produced for digesting fats from the gallbladder. So yeah, it just goes all these different directions depending on what the body needs to do. Does it need to make and store fat, or does it need to break down fats for energy? Or utilize fats as precursors to the 10,000 hormones that the body needs to regulate and monitor all the bodily processes, All right, so yeah, it goes on and on. Really, I love I love the scientific research that's been done to contribute to all the knowledge on this planet of so many different subjects, right? So if you really want to know how your body utilizes nutrients, then always type in, after your search term, scientific journal. And, if you're not able to absorb a lot of this technical information, it's really a summary of all the technical information of what the scientists have put together for human knowledge, then just read the introductions, the abstracts at the beginning, and the conclusions at the end. And here they're nice enough to summarize what the scientific community has found on plant sterols. And this is just one of many thousands, and all the footnotes you saw that are numbered throughout the text here, you can explore the individual studies that these scientists have done. So yeah, they only pick out the ones who had no, outside, if they weren't hired by private companies and forced, certain outcomes. A lot of companies will do that. So those kinds of so-called scientific studies are thrown out in peer-reviewed studies. So it's always safe to look at peer-reviewed studies only, and you can always tell them by all these different footnotes, right? The names of all these different scientists that they've chosen. All right, so that's it for that. I will definitely put that link as well on the bottom. So, I was looking up all these different terms. They mentioned quiescence, inactivity, or dormancy. And they were talking about, in the article, they were talking about how the liver, once it's damaged, can actually, it's one of I think it's the only one that can regenerate itself quickly, after there's been quite a bit of damage to the liver. And that's where proper nourishment at the cell level, is so important. So, I thought, oh, quiescence, so I looked it up. And sure enough, this is one of the things that the liver does. If it's damaged, it'll regenerate itself and reach a point where it's doing its job, and it stops that rapid regeneration process because it detects that it's a danger to the system, right? The whole organism, the human organism. So when it reaches that point, then that means that it's been restored and it's functioning properly. Or I thought that was an interesting term. Okay, so signaling by nuclear receptors, and it's always interesting to see what's happening at the microcell level. Not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just thought it was something that I could add to it. So, here's the cell membrane again, and here's the nutrient factors that arrive at the outside of the cell membrane, and the protein detection sites will accept and pull through by various methods, one of which is like osmosis, kind of thing. Excuse me. Okay. So yeah, I mean, things get through. Here's the oxysterol, right, in the intracellular ligand, also known as oxysterol. So it goes through and it enters the inside of the cell where the DNA and the detection sites are for our instructions, our genetic code of instructions that operate the whole entire body. So, I mean, this is just a really simple kind of diagram, but you see that there's the cytoplasm and the nucleus. This is the nucleus, the center of the cell, and this is where the DNA resides inside the middle of the cell, kind of thing. It's really amazing. The body is intricately, infinitely, microscopically, subatomically, subquantum energy level small and beyond. So many things are taking place at the energetic frequency levels, and all we need to do is just eat properly and exercise and take good care of our bodies, and it does the rest. Our DNAs know what to do. So our job is to protect that DNA, right? To make sure those instructions are making the body function normally. So when something goes wrong, 99% of the time, it's due to long-term nutrient deficiencies, distorted molecules, synthetic molecules. That includes, pollutants and synthetic body care products, things that we inhale, the toxic water sources that come out of the tap in most cities, those kinds of things. So we need to just be aware of everything and avoid them, boycott them. Why should we fund and support companies that are purposely poisoning humankind and poisoning the planet? So, they get the message loud and clear when we don't buy into it, literally spend our money on these things. And so they understand bottom line profits. So that's what causes them to switch over. I think that's why the organic industry has been has survived all of these decades, because people will buy organic products who are well informed as to why they should buy organic products. So yeah, it's all a matter of staying away from the synthetics that alter the DNA abnormally and cause a cascade effect of chronic illnesses and even degenerative diseases. All right, so, they're just talking about what happens at the cell membrane site. That is so important to understand, even at the most fundamental level. And so, yeah, here's are all the different receptor sites that when we take in anabolic steroids, helps our bodies produce all of these hormones in the body that serve a very important purpose. Hormones, not just for the reproductive hormones or the libido, hormones also help regulate starting and stopping all of the different multiple trillions of cellular processes in the body. All right, so meanwhile, of course, the nervous system is acting on the cell receptor sites as well and sending nerve transmissions and information. How do we move our muscles? How do we think? How do we breathe? All this is, a lot of it is just autonomic, just an automatic thing that happens in the body. So that has to be maintained as well. All right. Yeah, so have fun with this one. It's really, really cool. And if you're a layperson, you may not be entirely familiar with this, but hey, if you have some time, you want to learn how your body works and prevent the disease process, then this is really important to understand. So people who are afraid of certain nutrient factors like sterols, plant sterols, they automatically think in terms of taking medical drugs, and that's not the same thing at all. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not qualified to describe exactly how drugs work on the body, but I do know that they alter cell receptor sites and turn off mechanisms that cause cascade reactions and of certain, things like inflammatory responses and things like that. But, the body knows what it's doing when it's highly nourished, and it can heal itself. It's already been medically, or not medically, scientifically established long, long ago. And like Linus Pauling, two-time, Nobel Peace Prize winner, said that nutrients will alleviate 99.9% of all health issues. Okay. And so I'm paraphrasing what he said, but look it up, look up Linus Pauling and all the things that he contributed in the world to nutritional healing, basically. One of many people, who contributed to this wide base of knowledge on how to maintain the body properly and all the nutrient factors that's needed. Okay, here's another one on oxysterols and their cellular effectors. So again, these don't be afraid of cholesterol. Keep it in its place. Too much cholesterol can cause a lot of high fat, high triglyceride issues and affect how your body metabolizes fats. You'll end up obese, just like any other fat that you take in. But just know that these fats are essential to our health. They're high in calories, and too many of them will cause your body to just store them as future energy reserves in the form of body fat. But keeping those percentages of fats to proteins and carbohydrates in the diet in the right percentages will definitely help you have more energy. And heck, fats help reduce inflammation too. They help regulate body temperature, kind of thing. They help with the proper viscosity of the blood. Too many fats in the bloodstream will increase the viscosity and therefore increase the heat friction going through the blood vessels and create inflammatory responses, right? And make you feel just like totally warm and thirsty and lethargic and tired, or fatigued, all the time if you are, just flooding your bloodstream with too many fats and not drinking enough water and that kind of thing. So anyway, it's a whole cascade of problems that happen when your body is nutritionally imbalanced. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm going to show you for now. I hope I didn't, hope I didn't overwhelm you with all of this information, but I really had to straighten that out. So do not ever be afraid of whole foods that contain all of these wonderful, phytochemical or phytonutrient compounds, these molecular complexes that are in our whole foods. Our body understands whole food complexes much better than it does isolated nutrients. When it detects an isolated nutrient, it's actually looking for the rest of the molecule. What happened to the rest of it? When you take in a food that's high in the B complex versus taking an isolated, one of the B vitamins that are actually maybe synthetic. If you're taking a supplement that's in the laboratory, science has not been able to replicate the holographic nature of a whole vitamin complex or a mineral complex, so it's best to stick to nature, stick to the whole foods. If it hasn't been, like I always say, if it hasn't been freshly harvested, grown in nutrient-rich soil without synthetic pesticides and fertilizers that cause all kinds of health issues that I've mentioned before in other videos, or if it's not freshly slaughtered, we want to make sure that we're supporting companies that are humane, the humane treatment of animals that we are so grateful for, to give us our strength and help our immune systems, hair growth, skin, good skin, and nail growth, everything. We're made out of protein. We need those fundamental components of animal-derived tissues for our health. But we can't just eat one different food group and one individual food group and expect to be healthy. We need the full range of nutrients that both the plant kingdom and the animal source foods provide for us. Okay, so if you want a strong immune system, do all of the above. All right, so now I wanted to show you my website. If you'd like to, scoot myself over there so I can see better. All right, so here's my website. There's a lot of good resources there for you to go to. Whoops, I keep doing that, don't I? I do have a lot of videos here, and it goes straight to my YouTube channel too. If you want to look at my YouTube channel, I produce many informational videos there. If you want a fundamental, foundational, education on how your body utilizes nutrients and all the different body systems and how nutrients work in those body systems, then by all means explore my YouTube channel. Please subscribe too, so you can be notified every time I produce another video. And so it also helps put this kind of information in front of larger audiences too. So we need to have a healthy humanity. And I'm trying to get the word out so that people stop suffering, needlessly, unnecessarily from lack of information or being misguided and misled toward other things. There's a lot of good supplements out there and a lot of bad supplements out there. And so these are the kinds of things that I produce on my YouTube channel. But on this website, it describes my nutritional synergy system. So I'd like to take you to my book page so that you can see all the books that I've written for you so that you can protect your health. If you want a good overview of what it's like to kind of get more and more familiar with all the good things you need to do for your body to prevent disease and have worry-free health your whole entire life and age very slowly, and alleviate a lot of conditions that are because of nutrient deficiencies, that kind of thing. And like Linus Pauling said, it's 99% of the health issues out there, and I also wrote a book on how to select the right nutritional supplements. And then also my nutritional synergy system, I developed many years ago because I found that all the diet advice out there and even the government nutritional guidelines were so inadequate for what my clients needed. So I developed my own nutritional system. And I mentioned it earlier, it's 14 different categories. And, if you go back to this link here, it'll describe to you in detail, what that's all about. But this book is for those who want to master their health and not have any kind of not worry about their health in their future, and teach and be the example for your friends and family and really inspire others just by being the change you wish to see in the world, right? So this book is invaluable for covering my entire system so that you can choose the foods that are so healing and nourishing and regenerative for your body. So I produced a video, it's also on YouTube, but you can watch the video here where I describe in more detail about this book. And also being in the bodybuilding world back in the 80s, I didn't compete back then. This is the only time I competed. My friends at the gym kept bugging me, you should compete, you should compete. So it was at a local, city level that I competed, but I didn't want to continue it because it was a lot of hassle, a lot of work to get yourself to the point where you're competition ready kind of thing. I just love to lift weights and I love to run and play sports and that kind of thing. And then later years, I joined the martial arts, and I was glad and grateful that I had that foundation of strong muscles and flexibility and endurance and a can-do attitude that weight training and all these different sports do for a person. So I also include my nutritional system in there with a slant on maintaining lean muscle mass and staying on top of, a healthy amount of body fat and that kind of thing. So that's why I wrote that book. And it works for anyone who wants to lose weight, who is overweight, who has too much body fat and not enough muscle strength, So it will kind of shift those ratios around for a person so that they can have more energy and just look aesthetically more pleasing and just be healthy overall and be vibrantly healthy. So that's why I like to pair these two books together so that people get a full rendition of what you need to do to maintain lifelong optimal health vibrancy. So this is my pride and joy here. I produced this book so that people can understand what plants do for the body and why plant sterols. And this book describes plant sterols quite in detail. It has so many benefits for this book. It's 531 pages long. And so it lists scientific detailed monographs on 109 botanicals. There will be a second, volume to this, which has just as many, if not more, botanicals, but that's going to take some time for me to to do that with other projects in line first. But yeah, eventually there'll be a volume 2 to this book. But inside the book, you've got an encyclopedia, dictionary, hybrid kind of section where it'll define all of the scientific terms. You can't avoid the science when you're talking about your own nutritional physiology, the human body and how it uses nutrients. And it also has a whole database of phytochemical compounds, including plant steroids, plant sterols, they should be called, because they're not steroids in the plants, they're sterols. But when your body takes them in and your body makes its own steroids, you know, which is the growth hormones, which your body needs to produce new cells and provide all kinds of other health benefits, then that's the difference between sterols and plant steroids. No, plant sterols and body-produced steroids, not synthetics. They're completely different. You saw the difference here. And again, you know, you'll see if you want to be educated more about them, you can read about it in those links below. All right. So yeah, there's the hard copy and there's the ebook version of it. And that'll describe it too. So I wrote this for you, humankind. I wrote it for you because we need a healthier humanity. We need a stronger, you know, more alert, more able to learn and discern and have better cognitive abilities. If a person is unhealthy, they're just operating a lower vibrational frequency. Everything's at a slower rate. Their perceptions are limited perspectives. There's all kinds of things that happen when a person gets optimally healthy. I've seen lives change, perspectives change, interactions change, relationships change. And so I see a lot of suddenly awakening to the fact that a person can do anything they set their mind to. They have more confidence. They look beautiful. They look handsome. They look wonderful. They're vibrantly alive, can-do attitudes, can-do perspectives, much more courageous. So many things happen when you elevate the body's vibrational frequency at the microcell subquantum energy level. All right, so there I go, getting on my soapbox again, but I just always have to let everybody know why I'm doing this. Why am I producing these videos? And if they are drawn out too much for you, just divide it up and take in a little at a time. Sometimes it's a lot of information, but I do it with lots of love for humanity. I want a healthier humanity. We need a stronger humanity so that we can create a better world. It all starts within us. All right, that's it for now. And I'll say good night and thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please help me spread the word out. And I appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you so much. Much love and true health and healing with great caring. Bye-bye now.